Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And to remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, and yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. What are we celebrating today? Oh, my. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this one. National Chocolate Covered Anything Day. What do you like chocolate covered? I'm going for it. I chocolate covered almonds, chocolate covered raisins. I like chocolate. Yeah, chocolate's where it's at. So, loving the chocolate. Put in the chat. Are you a chocolate lover? Do you like chocolate? Are you a fan? Let me know. Let me know right there in the chat if you are a chocolate lover in any way. Let's see what else is going on in the world today. Boy, it's a big news day when we look at the markets right now because 2 months worth of employment data came out this morning. So as I look right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 109 points. It's going to recover just because I think the market's misinterpreting some of the data, and we'll tell you about that in the Mortgage Minute here in a little bit. But we're watching all of that. We've got the NASDAQ is down 25.75. The S&P 500 is down 12.57. And oil, wow. Oil's down $1.23 a barrel to $55.59 per barrel. And we're seeing that most of the country, I should say, is seeing that reflected in stock prices or in gas prices. We are in Gavin's, California, so we're still the highest priced gas around. You gotta love Gavin, don't you? Because he's bashing the president for wanting to get gas prices down, yet he does everything in his power to keep us as high as possible. And now we see a couple of refineries shutting down. Valero, I saw, was, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it says Valero is going to spend $1 billion to get out of California. 436 a gallon is the average for California. $2.90 a gallon is the average for the United States. So we're still, they're high twos for most of the country, low fours for California. And I'll have to double check because we'll give it a shot here to see. Yeah, Washington is still right at $4 even. And we've passed Hawaii. 444 is where Hawaii is. California's at 436. And $2.90, $2.91 is the price of a gallon of gasoline in the average of the country. Now, I look around and you say, there's maybe one or two states that are over $3 a gallon outside of, just the handful on the West Coast. Now, yeah, Pennsylvania's at $3.15. New York State, $3.10. Florida, $2.88. Illinois, $3 a gallon. So you start looking around. Texas is $2.52 a gallon. They don't have the same law. Now, ironically enough, you listen to all this garbage that comes out of Sacramento. Well, we need to have that because of pollution. Well, why doesn't Texas have the same problem? Why doesn't Illinois have that problem? They've got an area, especially when you start talking about the winter, those areas, they've got a lot of cold that's keeping a lot of, and clouds keeping the pollution down, keeping the pollution in. And I'm not a scientist, and I don't play one on TV. But I can tell you this: when I look around and you start seeing that you've got the prices or the gasoline, and you say, well, California needs a special blend. Why? Why does it cause more problem in California than it does in the other 49 states or the 47 continental states? Why is it that California claims to have this issue? Is it legitimate? I don't know. I don't really believe so, but that's just me. Travis Robinson checking in. We're going to have him on the show tomorrow talking about, it's going to be everyone's favorite subject, group healthcare. So Travis is coming in to chat with us. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, buddy. He'll be in to chat with us. What else is going on? We're watching the 10-year Treasury down just a little bit. Mortgage bonds are up nicely. Now, remember, when that mortgage bond goes up, that means interest rates are going down. And we're going to have a ton of data when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, over 1 million homes for sale. We'll talk about it. Whole life insurance, the cash value question, credit scores and insurance, the hidden connection, strategic charitable giving, why your Medicare coverage could cost you thousands. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. I've got to see, why am I not finding, okay, well, as you could tell, Josh isn't with me this morning. Got to love the internet problems there, but we're going to see if I can get some of these banners to go across like they're supposed to. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry. Calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to figure out what your principal and interest payment will be. So let's take a look and see what the rates did yesterday. It looks like it was a very, very mixed day. We've got the 30-year, conventional 30-year fix, 6.219. That was down. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.529. That was up. FHA 30-year fix, 6.048. That was down. VA 30-year fix, 5.801. That was down. And the USDA 30-year fix, 6.09. And if you want to know what our thoughts are about the market each and every business day morning, as early as the data allows, and yes, because it was a lot of data this morning, I've already got that posted for you, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. Now, what is that? That is our Ron Siegel Radio community and you go to rsrlinks.com/HBOD, you can sign up to get the notifications from it. We don't send out a lot, but you can get those notifications, see what we've got on in our thought process for you. And like so many of the things we do at Ron Siegel Radio, it costs you absolutely nothing. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. And I can't find the banner for it, but we will just leave it at that. So what's the markets doing today? Well, we've got the 10-year Treasury, 4.156, down 2 basis points. The mortgage bond now is up 12 basis points. Remember, bond up, prices down. S&P 500 is down 6.56, and oil down $1.24 per barrel. What's driving all this? Because I know that you can get a lot of data when you go right to that super secret website, google.com, but they don't analyze it for you like we do on Ron Siegel Radio. So, Bureau of Labor Statistics, they released their jobs report for both October and November. In October, there was 105,000 jobs lost. Ow! Which was much weaker than expected and heavily influenced by government layoffs where individuals took the buyout and were on payroll until September. The November report showed 64,000 jobs created, which is a little stronger than the 45,000 expected. There were negative revisions to the previous 2 months.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
August was revised lower from 22,000 originally to negative 26,000, while September was revised from 119,000 to 108,000. The birth-death model, which has been the main reason for the big revisions we have been accustomed to seeing, and in October it added 413,000 jobs.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Remember, this is the BLS's way of capturing small business job gains, but it does a very poor job. The ADP and the Ravello Labs jobs reports showed the biggest weakness is in the small business sector. So it doesn't make sense that they added 413,000 jobs in October. Without that, the job losses have been over 500,000. We'll see this revised out later when we get the QCEW data. Looking at the sectors, the government shed 157,000 jobs in October and another 6,000 in November. As I mentioned, the reduction in October was from the federal layoffs. Healthcare continues to be the only sector that is performing, adding 44,000 jobs in October and 46,000 in November. But remember, this is not economically sensitive. Without healthcare, job growth for the entire year would be essentially flat. There are 2 surveys within the jobs report, the business survey and the household survey. Business survey is where the headline job creation number comes from. The household survey is where the unemployment rate comes from. There was no household survey for the October report, only November, due to the shutdown. So what's going on? These are changes from September. Household survey showed that there were 96,000 jobs gained. But because the labor force increased by 323,000 and the number of unemployed people rose by 227,000, the unemployment rate rose from 4.4 to 4.6%. Ow! The exact number, 4.56, which was rounded up to 4.6. Since July, the unemployment rate has gone straight up each month from 4.1% to 4.6%. Many hawkish Fed members disregard the negative job creation figures because they claim that demand and supply of labor is falling at the same time because of immigration and less jobs are needed to keep the unemployment rate stable. Hard to make that argument now that the unemployment rate has gone up every month since July to 4.6%. Now, here's the number I like more than any of them, the U6 number, the U6 unemployment rate. And again, it's another Bureau of Labor Statistics number. That rose from 8% to 8.7%. I don't like that it's 8.7%, but the category itself, to me, makes a lot more sense. It's a huge jump. Highest level since March of 2017 when stripping out the impact of COVID. So why do I like that one? Because it talks about unemployed and underemployed. So if you get a part-time job, which all the jobs are part-time right now, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But if you have a part-time job, that counts as being employed in the U3 portion of the numbers. If you're getting part-time work and you want full-time work, well, that goes into U6, and that's where we see that 8.7%. Now, why do I say that's more important? Well, we look at it and we see there were 983,000 full-time job losses. Ow! There were 1,025,000 part-time job gains. So people are losing full-time work and getting part-time work. That gives you an idea of where the market is. Something that should also help bonds is lower wage pressured inflation. Average hourly earnings rose 0.1% in November and fell from 3.8% to 3.5% year over year. Bottom line, very weak report. Should help the bond market. We're not seeing it yet, but we know we're going to get there.
What's the big idea?
Yeah, we're seeing, like I say, the mortgage bond now is up 10 basis points. It should be higher. We'll see where that goes. Retail sales, which gives a read on the health of the consumer spending, flat in October, weaker than estimates of a 0.1% gain. But since this was October, right after the EV tax credit expired at the end of September, automobile sales had a big impact. When stripping out autos, retail sales rose 0.4%. Now, remember, that's a monthly number. So 0.4% means retail sales, if you were to annualize that, would be 4.8. Looking at core retail sales, which strips out food, autos, gas, building materials, and a few other things, the index rose 0.8%, which was stronger than estimates and shows the consumer is still spending. You got to wonder, because
I got a bad feeling about this.
what's going to happen with it? How they getting their money? Where is it coming from? Is it adding to debt? December NAHB Home Builder Sentiment Index, which measures home builder confidence, rose 1 point to 39. While this is still in contraction territory under 50, it is a third month in a row of gains, and it's moving in the right direction. Looking at the subcomponents, current sales rose 1 point to 42. Future sales expectations rose 1 point to 52, still in expansion. Buyer traffic remained at 26, still at weak levels. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So what's going on in this market? And a lot of these things that we talk about are simple strategy ideas. And, we look at a lot of this stuff over time and wonder, why are you just going out? We talked about this yesterday, just accepting a mortgage rate when not looking at the important parts. And again, yes, we talked about the mortgage rates. Oh, I guess that's not supposed to be on there. Hide that. There we go. So we talked about the mortgage rates yesterday and how you can go online and get the mortgage anytime you want to get a mortgage rate. But is it the right rate? Is it the suitable rate? And a lot of people don't think about that part of it. They're always looking at eligibility and not suitability. Suitability is way, way more important than any other number. Why? Because it's looking at what is your time horizon? What are your goals? What are you dreaming about doing with your real estate portfolio? How do all these things impact you? Now, a lot of times we get people that are just simply looking at this in a vacuum, and they say, okay, well, I want the lowest rate possible, or I don't want to pay any fees. And those are all good, but you got to take them as part of the full package. They're not just operating in a vacuum. We want to make sure we're looking at the whole scenario there. So why do I say that? What do I mean by that? Well, when we're looking at the full package, we're saying, how long are you planning on being in the house? If you're a veteran and you don't want to keep building your real estate portfolio, and you should build your real estate portfolio, but you say, I'm going to only be here for 3 years. Well, calculate that into the rate and say, okay, maybe I want a little bit of a higher rate if you can afford it. And maybe I want to I'll take and have less out-of-pocket expenses. Now, in a lot of instances, great real estate agents can help you take care of that. They'll be able to get the seller to cover some of the expenses. Raise the price a little bit. Get the seller to cover some of the expenses or to buy down your interest rate. Now, buying down the interest rate is a good idea in many instances, especially if you anticipate that you might be PCSing anytime soon. So we'll continue chatting about these things with you. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, over 1 million homes for sale, credit scores and insurance, the hidden connection. We'll talk about it and why your Medicare coverage could cost you thousands. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. 7 months straight. That's how long we've had over 1 million homes for sale in this country. So why does it still feel impossible to find the right house? I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's what's happening. The graph shows we went from just over 665,000 homes for sale back in January of 2024 to over 1.072 million homes today. That's a 61% increase in inventory. More choices should mean easier buying, right? Not exactly. I had a conversation last week with a couple who'd been house hunting for 4 months. They said, Ron, there are plenty of houses, but we can't afford any of them. And that's the real story behind these numbers. See, inventory grew, but so did prices. And while rates have come down from their peak, they're still higher than what many buyers were expecting when they started their research 2 years ago. Here's what most buyers miss. They're looking at houses and asking, can I afford the payment? Wrong question. The better question is, does buying this house fit into my overall financial strategy? Worked with a family recently who thought they needed to save another $20,000 before they could buy. When we looked at their complete financial picture, we found $18,000 sitting in a checking account, earning nothing. Plus, they were paying $847,000 a month on a car loan at 6.9% and another $425 on credit cards at 21%. Their blended interest rate was over 12%. They didn't have a down payment problem. They had a strategy problem. We repositioned their debt, freed up $680 a month in cash flow, and they closed on a house within 60 days. Same income, same debt, different strategy. Have you ever heard anybody say that strategy beats rate always? I think I mentioned that on a very regular basis, and I know I've got a banner in here for it. I can't find it, but it's in there. Now, here's another strategy that's working right now with all this inventory available. Instead of putting every dollar you have into the down payment, what if you use some of those funds to buy down your interest rate? Here's another example. Say you're looking at a $600,000 home. You've saved $90,000. Most people automatically think, put it all down, get the lowest loan amount possible. But what if you only put down $60,000 and used $15,000 to buy down your rate from 6.5 to 5 3/4? I'm just throwing out examples. I don't know if you'll even qualify for any of these. You'd lower your monthly payment by about $240. That's $2,880 a year back in your budget. Or here's another angle. In this market with more inventory, sellers are more willing to negotiate. You could ask the seller to contribute toward a rate buy down as part of your offer. You might offer a bit more on price, but get a lower monthly payment that fits your budget better. Remember, it's not about the rate in isolation. It's about the monthly cash flow impact on your household budget. That's what really matters. Want to see how a buy down strategy might work for your situation? rsrlinks.com/buy down. rsrlinks.com/buy down. And we'll show you the numbers side by side so you can make an informed decision. This is what I mean when I say strategy beats rate always. Right now, with inventory at these levels, buyers actually have negotiating power they haven't had in years, but only if their financial house is in order first. Before you start shopping for houses, get your financial strategy right. Visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps. rsrlinks.com/keysteps. I tell you that every morning that you should be registered at rsrlinks.com/keysteps. You'll find a simple tool where you really stand to see where you really stand, what steps to take before you ever talk to a realtor. It's going to monitor your credit, your identity for identity theft. It's going to help you on budgeting. All right there. And again, free to you. Because here's the truth. More inventory doesn't help if you're not financially prepared to take advantage of it. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let's see. What do we have now? I think we've got Your Credit Matters. Your Credit Matters brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Did you know that in most states, your credit score could be costing you hundreds of dollars a year on your car and home insurance? And here's what really gets me. Many people have no idea this is even happening. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let me share something that came across my desk recently that connects two areas people don't usually think about together: credit scores and insurance premiums. Now, if you live here in California, this doesn't apply to you. Same goes for Massachusetts, Michigan, and Hawaii. But if you have family or investment properties in other states, or you're planning to relocate, pay attention. Here's what's happening. Insurance companies in most states use what they call a credit-based insurance score as one factor in determining your rates. Notice I said one factor, not the only factor. They're also looking at things like your zip code, driving history, the type of car you drive, and how many miles you put on it each year. But here's the important part, and this ties directly into strategic debt management. Research shows that people with lower credit scores tend to file more insurance claims. Whether you agree with that correlation or not, it's affecting pricing in most of the country. So what does this mean for you? Think about your budget. We talk all the time about the household blended interest rate. That's the weighted average of all your debt costs. But your credit profile isn't just affecting your mortgage rate or your credit card interest. In most states, it's also affecting your insurance costs, which is money leaving your household budget every month. I had a client recently who was refinancing to pull out some equity for a business opportunity. Great move from a strategic debt management perspective. We were repositioning high-cost debt and creating better cash flow. But during our conversation, I asked when he'd last shopped his insurance. He could not remember. Turns out his credit score had improved significantly over the past 3 years since he'd been working with us on his debt strategy. We got him connected with a trusted insurance professional, and he saved over $800 a year just by getting his policies requoted with his improved credit profile. $800 a year might not sound like a fortune, but think about it this way. That's money that could be going toward building wealth instead of leaking out of your household budget unnecessarily. Here's my recommendation. If you're working on improving your credit, paying down balances, making timely payments, clearing up old disputes, don't just think about your next mortgage or refinance. Think about the ripple effects through your entire financial picture. And if you live in a state where this applies, make it a point to shop your insurance every couple of years, especially if your credit situation is improved. you might be surprised at what you find. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I can. If you're in one of those states I mentioned that they are not allowed to use your credit score, don't you think they're probably using something else that might replicate that? The insurance companies are not stupid. They're much smarter than the government. So again, that's my opinion. They'll find a way to get the information they need compliantly. Bottom line, if you're wondering whether your financial house is in order, your credit, your debt structure, your cash flow, simple tool that walks you through the key steps. You can grab it at rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps, and find out. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. And remember, strategy beats rate always. And sometimes that strategy means looking at the connection between different parts of your financial life that you might not think are related. That is Your Credit Matters, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, why strategic charitable giving, we'll talk about that one. Medicare Advantage, we'll talk about that. And whole life insurance, the cash value question, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Here's a question I get all the time. Ron, should I borrow from my whole life insurance policy to pay off debt? And my answer usually surprises people. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let me tell you about a conversation I had. Client came in excited. Just discovered his whole life policy had built up to $85,000 in cash value. His insurance agent suggested he could borrow against it tax-free. Sounded perfect, right? Remember, strategy beats rate always. I can't tell you that enough. Strategy beats rate always. Not so fast. Here's what most people don't understand about whole life insurance cash value. Yes, you can borrow against it. Yes, the growth is tax deferred. But here's the thing nobody talks about. When you borrow from your policy, you're paying interest. And where does that interest go? Back into the policy, sure, but you're still making that payment. Now, I'm not against whole life insurance. It has its place in a financial strategy. We talked about it in how to retire on $31,000 a month with no 401k, no IRA, and using your mortgage. So we talked about that. So yes, I do understand insurance, and I believe in it wholeheartedly for the right purposes. Again, it has its place in a financial strategy. The death benefit protects your family. The cash value grows, and in the right circumstances, accessing that value makes sense. But here's where I see families make mistakes. They look at that cash value like it's found money. They borrow $50,000 to pay off credit cards. Maybe knock out a car loan. Feels good in the moment, but they haven't changed the behavior that created the debt in the first place. And now they're making loan payments back to the insurance company instead of to the credit card companies. So what changed? Just who's getting the interest payment? Let me share what I told my client. We sat down and looked at his whole household blended interest rate, not just the credit card rates, not just the potential insurance loan rate. Everything, his mortgage, his car loans, his credit cards, student loans, his HELOC. Turns out if we reposition some of his home equity strategically, we could consolidate that higher interest debt at a lower overall rate and keep his insurance value intact. Why? Because that cash value is still growing, still providing liquidity he might need down the road. See, the question isn't, can I borrow from my life insurance? The question is, should I? That depends on your whole picture. Here's another consideration. The article I was reading recently mentioned accessing cash value through loans or withdrawals can reduce both the policy's cash value and the death benefit. That means the protection you bought for your family, it shrinks when you borrow against it. There's also this: if you borrow too much and the policy lapses, you could face a tax bill. That tax-deferred growth you enjoyed, the IRS wants their cut if the policy terminates before you die. Now, I've worked with families where borrowing from life insurance made perfect sense. Maybe they had a short-term cash flow need. Maybe they were in their 70s with substantial cash value and minimal debt. Maybe they understood they were essentially borrowing from themselves and had a clear repayment plan. But for most families, there are better strategies. So what does this mean for you? If you have a whole life policy with cash value, don't just look at it in isolation. Look at it as one piece of your overall financial picture. Run the numbers on your household blended interest rate, or we can do that for you. Understand what accessing that cash value really costs you, not just in interest payments, but in reduced death benefit and potential tax consequences. And if someone tells you that borrowing from your life insurance is always the best move, get a second opinion, because strategy beats rate always, and there is no always in creating strategies. This is where having your financial house in order makes all the difference. When you understand your complete debt picture, your cash flow, your liquidity needs, and your long-term goals, you can make informed decisions about tools like life insurance cash value. You might decide the policy is perfect as is, protecting your family while growing tax deferred. You might discover a better use for that equity. You might realize your insurance needs have changed entirely, but you won't know until you look at the whole picture. If you'd like to get help, if you like help getting your financial house in order so you can make smart decisions about life insurance, debt, and your overall strategy, rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps, and let's take a look at it. It's a free tool that walks you through the key steps to organize your finances and identify opportunities you might be missing. Because when it comes to building wealth, it's not about what any single financial product can do. It's about how all the pieces fit together. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let's see what we've got coming up here next. I think we've got a Borrow Smart segment. Borrow Smart, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com. GetHomeSelect.com. What if I told you that writing a check to your favorite charity isn't the only way to give? And it might not even be the smartest way. Americans gave $499 billion to charity in 2022, the last number I had, but most people miss opportunities to make their gifts go further. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's what most people don't know about charitable giving. When you write that check to your church, your alma mater, your temple, your favorite nonprofit, you're doing something good, but there are ways to give that can support the causes you care about and create benefits for your household budget at the same time. Think about it this way. Most folks give for one of two reasons. They want to support a cause they believe in, or they want to leave a legacy. Both are worthy goals. But if you can accomplish those goals while improving your financial position, why wouldn't you? Let me share a story about a couple I worked with recently. They were in their early 60s planning a retirement, and they'd been giving $10,000 a year to various charities. Good people with good intentions, but they were doing it the hard way, writing checks from their checking account after they'd already paid taxes on that income. When we looked at their complete financial picture, we discovered they had appreciated stock in their portfolio. By donating that stock directly instead of writing checks, they avoided capital gains taxes and got the full charitable deduction. Same gift to the charity, but thousands of dollars in tax savings for them. Strategy beats rate always, and that applies to charitable giving just as much as it does to mortgages. Now, there are several ways to give strategically. Direct gifts are what most people do, but there are other options worth considering. Charitable gift annuities let you give assets while receiving the fixed income stream. The charity eventually gets the remainder, but you get income during your lifetime. Then there are pooled income funds. Multiple donors contribute to a fund that's invested by the charity. You receive income based on your share, and the charity gets the remainder when you pass. It's a way to give while maintaining income. Here's where it gets interesting for estate planning. You can use trust for charitable giving. With a charitable remainder trust, you and your beneficiaries receive income during your lifetime, and the charity gets what's left. With a charitable lead trust, it works the opposite way. The charity gets income now, and your beneficiaries get the remainder later. I had a listener ask me last month, Ron, this sounds complicated. Why not just write the check? Fair question. Here's why. Because these strategies can help you give more while keeping more. They let you support causes you care about while managing your household blended interest rate and maintaining liquidity. Remember, we always evaluate financial decisions through the lenses of safety, liquidity, and return. Strategic charitable giving fits into this framework. You're being safe by working with qualified professionals on the structure. You're maintaining liquidity by potentially receiving income streams, and you're getting better returns through tax benefits. Another option that's become popular is donor-advised funds. You make an irrevocable contribution to a fund administered by a charity. You may get immediate tax benefits, and you can recommend distributions to qualified charities over time. It's like having your own charitable foundation with all the administrative work. The key is understanding that giving strategically doesn't mean you care less about the causes you support. It means you're being smart about how you give. If you can donate $10,000 and create $15,000 worth of benefit between the charity and your household, that's better than just writing a $10,000 check. This is where suitability comes in. Just because you're eligible to use these strategic strategies doesn't mean they're suitable for your situation. Maybe you're better off with simple direct giving. Maybe your charitable remainder trust makes sense for your estate. Maybe donor-advised funds fit into your goals. You got to talk to your household board of directors, your CPA, tax planners, lawyers, estate planners. I don't give legal advice. I don't give tax advice. I give ideas. I am a consumer advocate looking out for you. If you're thinking about your charitable giving strategy and want to make sure your financial house is in order first, I've got a tool that can help. Head over to rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps. It's a free resource that helps you organize your financial picture so you can make informed decisions about giving, estate planning, and building wealth. Because here's the thing, the best way to help others is to first make sure you're taking care of your own household. Get your strategy right, and you can give more, keep more, and leave a bigger legacy. I am Ron Siegel, your Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. That is the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. I don't think I have enough time to do our Medicare Advantage, so we'll talk about that one tomorrow. You can reach me anytime. Again, as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.